If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what?
Smart.
Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're going to bring another person to play this role.
It has proven to be Disney's worst investment ever in the history of Disney investments. I mean, they've gone through various scandals with this girl, but because she has this underlying anger and hatred in her that always has to take it like one step too far, essentially implying that it's wrong and backwards and it's not 1937, whatever. That was like her initial spree, and everyone was like, okay, do you want to be Snow White or do you hate Snow White? Do you want to destroy Snow White? Trump wins, and Rachel decides to go on really just a psychopathic, demented rant.
You had Rachel Zegler on the docket too. I think actresses should be quiet. I understand why.
She hated Snow White, mocked the fact that there was a prince and that she falls in love as opposed to leaning into her own power. We could go on. They postponed the release of this thing, Ben, for a year because their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable. They've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her."
What happens when you take one of Disney's most beloved classics, toss in a polarizing star, and try to reinvent it for a modern audience? Well, if the recent live-action Snow White is any indication, you might just end up with one of the biggest flops in cinematic history. Starring Rachel Zegler, a name now synonymous with controversy, this adaptation faced backlash before it even hit theaters. From debates over feminism to accusations of ingratitude, every move seemed calculated to alienate fans. But here's the real question. Was this disaster inevitable? Or did Disney simply misstep at every turn?
And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like minutes later, followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine." This is just like a few months after 10/7. Yes, Gal Gadot, whatever.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
She's Jewish, and apparently this actually, all hell broke loose.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them. It's the old, it truly is go woke, go broke. Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too. One of the 18 hours I am in the Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress. If she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour.
Disney didn't enter this project lightly. As the studio behind animation's golden age, they knew reviving Snow White meant walking a tightrope between honoring tradition and embracing change. Enter Rachel Zegler, fresh off her breakout role in West Side Story. At first glance, she seemed perfect for the part. Young, talented, and eager to bring a fresh perspective to an iconic character. But almost immediately, cracks began to show. Early whispers revealed Zegler had mocked the original Snow White's romance with a prince, calling it outdated and simplistic. Fans were outraged. How could someone tasked with carrying the torch disrespect the very foundation of the story? Meanwhile, acclaimed composers Benj, Pasek, and Justin Paul joined the team, promising a mix of classic melodies and original tunes. Yet even this promise sparked division. Would audiences embrace updated songs alongside timeless favorites like Heigh-Ho? Or would these changes only deepen the rift between old-school Disney lovers and newer generations?
So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern-day feminism and the left in general. This weird feminist thing where her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice. You cannot both be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince. Like, that's incongruous bullshit. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment. So, I mean, this woman has clicked every box. And just for cherry on top at the end, she gave an interview last week talking about how they were basically a bunch of white supremacists on the set of West Side Story, where Steven Spielberg and co. were demanding that she prove how Latina she really is, since her name doesn't sound Latina. And she was angrily saying, did I have to bring in my little abuelita for you to believe that I was Latina? That's her thanks to Steven Spielberg, who discovered her and made her. So she's an ingrate, she's annoying, and I think she's probably two and done.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage. Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time. I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's one of those things. So true. It's an inner journey that she goes on to find her true self.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
If there's one thing Rachel Zegler excels at, it's making headlines, and not always for the right reasons. Her initial comments about Snow White's lack of agency infuriated fans who cherished the innocence of the 1937 version. Social media exploded with criticism, accusing her of biting the hand that feeds her. In response, Rachel scrambled to clarify her stance, posting photos of herself dressed as Disney princesses as a child. It was a desperate attempt to prove her lifelong admiration for the franchise, but many saw through the act, labeling it as damage control rather than genuine affection. Her public relations team reportedly urged her to adopt a more diplomatic tone moving forward. And while she did express regret for any misunderstanding, the damage was done. For many, Rachel's words symbolized everything wrong with modern adaptations, a disregard for legacy in favor of forced progressivism. Perhaps no aspect of the remake sparked more debate than the treatment of the Seven Dwarfs. Longtime fans viewed them as integral to the story's charm, but critics argued their depiction perpetuated outdated stereotypes. Leaked documents suggested Disney considered removing them altogether, replacing them with CGI versions, or sidelining their roles entirely. When news broke, outrage ensued. Supporters of the update claimed it was a necessary step toward inclusivity, while detractors insisted it robbed the film of its heart. Ultimately, the decision to keep the dwarfs, but drastically alter their presence, pleased no one. They were neither the comedic relief nor the emotional anchors they once were, leaving viewers confused and dissatisfied. By the time Snow White hit theaters in March 2025, anticipation had soured into skepticism. Box office numbers told the grim truth. Despite massive marketing efforts, the film bombed. Industry insiders whispered about emergency meetings where executives debated shelving the project entirely. Rumors swirled that Bob Iger himself considered paying Rachel millions to walk away, a move that could have saved Disney hundreds of millions in losses. But why did audiences stay home? Some blame Rachel's unlikability. Others point to the film's heavy-handed attempts at modernization. Whatever the reason, the result was undeniable. One of Disney's riskiest gambles turned into its costliest failure. At the heart of the controversy lay a fundamental clash of values. Traditionalists saw Snow White as a symbol of purity and romance, while progressives viewed her as a relic of patriarchal storytelling. Rachel's portrayal leaned heavily into the latter, emphasizing leadership and independence over love and rescue. This shift alienated fans who longed for the simplicity of the original narrative. Critics accused the filmmakers of creating a paradoxical heroine, one who couldn't simultaneously embody strength and vulnerability. By sidelining the prince and stripping away Snow White's softer traits, they left audiences questioning whether female empowerment required rejecting all forms of dependency. Just when things couldn't get worse, Rachel doubled down on controversy. In a post-film interview, she accused the West Side Story set of harboring white supremacists, an explosive claim that further divided her supporters and detractors. Meanwhile, Steven Spielberg publicly questioned her Latina authenticity, demanding proof of her heritage. These incidents painted Rachel as out of touch and combative, qualities few want in a leading lady. Her outspoken nature may have resonated with some, but for many, it confirmed suspicions that she was unfit to carry such a storied franchise. By the time the dust settled, Rachel's reputation was in tatters, and so was Disney's gamble. In the end, Disney's Snow White serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of reimagining beloved stories. While some praised the film's boldness, others decried its betrayal of tradition. Whether this failure discourages future remakes remains to be seen. One thing is certain: balancing nostalgia and innovation is no easy feat as viewers. We must ask ourselves, are we ready to let go of the past, or do we cling to it at the expense of progress? Only time will tell if Disney, or anyone else, can strike that elusive balance.